Hey guys, Brett here from the Mr. Top Step trading team. I want to go over some stuff from the opening print this morning. Today is March 29th, and we have two trading days left in the quarter here. It's about a little after 8 o'clock Eastern time. This video originally was intended to be published for just our premium members, and that's really, I guess, who will benefit the most because they had the premium edition today. So kind of know our game plan a little bit going into the session. But I kind of want to cover some stuff because I feel like there's some good education pieces and some good talking points in here. Um, as you can see, the S&P gapped up really nicely today and actually pushed higher, plowed through that 50-day a little bit. Now it's flirting with last week's high up there. But before we get there, just kind of, I'll try to keep the video short. I know I say that all the time, but I will actually try to do so. Um, on let's say it was Wednesday, on Tuesday, we had a watch list out that basically said we're looking at setups in kind of these four tech names and then the Qs. They were all pulling back really nicely into their strong trending moving averages. We'll kind of kick through those names here in a second. NVDA, I guess I'll just put up on the screen. You can see that everyone knows NVIDIA's been, the leader of this run, the monster runner of 2023. Pulled back really nice, 3 straight down days. Came right into active support, and that's exactly what we were looking for. I mean, quite literally was basically exactly what we were looking for. Setups here. NVIDIA, a test of the 10-day. I mean, it's a test of the 10-day could fail, but we're willing buyers. So we figured that this was worth a shot, and I just want to cover some stuff because I think it's kind of important on discussing these things. When we came in today on the S&P, we were looking for our main resistance area, which was 40.35 to 40.45. Key pivot being kind of the 40.40 zone, just sort of splitting the difference there. If we kick up the ES here, and of course it's trading on Globex right now, so it's kind of, it's moving around. And these aren't my typical charts. This is usually my weekly look, but just for the purpose of this, I want to keep it something that we can all work with. You can see how 8:45, we got this nice push right off of 40.32s, right into this 9:30 area, and it got up to 40.48, I think, 40.47 and 3/4, and it just could not hold over 40.45, and it faded. You can see where this has been, this 40.45 area is this box here. You can see why we were watching this area as resistance, and when we lay that out, some of these upside levels, it doesn't mean that just because they're there, it's like a rock solid wall. It's just when you go into the session into different scenarios, you have to have a plan for different events to play out. If we got the big downside flush, we need to know where it's going to step in as support. If we get the big push up, we need to know where's the likely spot it's going to slow down. And so that's how we lay out these, like the ES, the SPY, and the SPX for our index traders who trade the calls and the puts on that, especially now that they got the 0DT in there. But you can see how nice that this selling that open was, and it's exactly what we had in the SPY too. Like we wrote, set to open right near this week's high. We could push into the 400 region. I expect some initial sells. So we had 399, but in the bold, again, the bold is not the end all be all. It's just the key level of the day that we're watching. I don't know if that makes sense really, because there's, you got 3-4 levels in here, but that's like the key one. If you clear it, it's opens up a whole bunch of different levels. If it holds, it holds. But this is, basically 400, 450, somewhere in there is where we were looking for it to stall. And it's like you got that initial push and a nice fade, and another push and a fade. Eventually, it did end up failing, and the bulls did take this one higher. But that's just kind of how we lay these levels out. It's why we lay the levels out, and that's sort of what we're looking for. It does not always work that way. Sometimes, like it this could have opened up at, 399, almost opened at 400, could have opened up and went right through it. In which case, that's not the end of the world for us, even though we have that mapped as our resistance mark. You know, if the S&P pushed through that, now we know. Now it becomes a pivot. Now it's can they keep it above that level? And if they can, that becomes our buy level. And we start to look at the next upside levels, which in that case, I believe was 402.50, aka last week's high. So that's kind of how we try to trade around some of these marks. Lulu was another one. And for anyone who carried a long position, we do not have an open trade in Lulu. But it was one to know today. If you are coming into the session, hey, know this gap fill area, know this 78.6 retracement. Again, if it gets above 368.5 and can build above and push, great. Okay, that's awesome. It opens up this next layer of upside targets. But it's a higher risk reward situation to see a fade from a key area like that, especially in an environment where Lulu's great. I love Lulu. Great company, great product. Yes, 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 yes. But retail in general has struggled, and to see this fade here was not surprising at all, especially when you line it up with the SPY pushing into this 400 area, knowing it was a likely fade area. Even though just because it's a fade doesn't mean it's going to break down and fall to pieces. You could probably pull $1.50 out of this. Peak to trough $1 would have been a healthy, just trying to snag a buck out of it on a day trade, a quick scalp. But sometimes you just got to know those high risk reward zones and try to play the zones, especially when we're, kind of stuck in this choppy back and forth tape where we're not in a trending market by any means. So you have to pick your levels and your ranges a little more carefully, probably drop down in size a little bit, and try to play for those reaction moves out of it. And as for other than that, we didn't really have too much to do today. It was kind of a slow, low volume, choppy day. All of these were basically all the same. It didn't matter if the other day we sent out, this was the email on the different trades, AMD, Google, Apple, and NVDA. And a lot of people only snagged one or two. I was talking to some members, they grabbed two of them, NVIDIA and Apple, or they just took the Qs and played that on its own. That's fine. You don't have to get all four of them. I put them all five of them in here, including the Qs, because it does. I don't know. Who knows who has what? Some guy could have just Apple, someone could have NVIDIA and AMD. So you try to kind of cover everyone here. But these are all pretty much the same. I mean, you're looking to trim on the opening range above yesterday's high. You got that. Google, trim the opening push as it tries to go daily up. Google actually was the most disappointing of this whole bunch here. You can see all these names traded really, really nice. Most of them put up about 2% gain. Google barely could etch out a gain. But look at the difference here. 102.45 was yesterday's high. 102.49 is today's high. So if you were coming to this session, trim that opening push as it tries to go daily up. It tried to go daily up and it couldn't, but doesn't matter because you trimmed down a third of it there. And now you can go move into a break-even stop. So a lot of people probably right somewhere in here is where they own it. Now they can be set against break-even. And I'm not going to go through every single one because it doesn't need to be, but NVIDIA is the same thing. Long from 259, we were looking to buy the 10-day. Trim on the opening push, ideally over 267. If we see 270, we're down to half. This is the same stuff here, guys. NVIDIA has a high of 270.78 today. So simple stuff. We cut down to half. You can see, I don't know if anyone's a big retracement fan, but if I zoom these out a little bit, you can see 267 gets you to that halfway back of this decline. Just over the 61.8, that gets you, we're out half of it. I mean, now you can stick a stop in here at break even wherever you're in. We're in around 259. It doesn't matter if you're at 262, then you stick a stop at 262. And we look to trim out more up here if we can get a push into maybe over 275, maybe a little trim, or 272, excuse me. If you want to just really go for it, 275. The quarter end is in 2 days, so there's going to be some shenanigans. And so you play that how you want to play it, but the Qs, same stuff. It's just you trim it when it moves in your favor. Long from 306, the 10-day, trim in the opening push or the pre-market, trim more between 310 and 311, ultimately down to half or less if we see 311 plus. We got 313, so we're down to at least half a position in this name now, maybe a third, depending on how you played it. But these are trades that you're looking to, it's really simple with these kinds of trades. You're looking to make your first initial trim, maybe your second initial, however you want to trade that. But at least for me, you get that buy, you get the nice move in your favor, you trim it down, and then you just go to a break even stop and you manage it from there. You can take one more tranche. Maybe if we try to go weekly up here in the 313 area, however you want to play that. But you want to get that stop down, get your risk cut down, and live to fight another day. Um, anyway, I hope that kind of helps. I just wanted to go over some of the risk reward areas and sort of how we're trying to defend ourselves a little bit in this choppy tape, and I just kind of our mentality when it comes to some of the individual names, so some of the tech names we scooped up this week, why we sold them, why we bought them, and uh, and just kind of give you guys a little more clarity on what our thinking is with some of this stuff. So I hope that helped. Feel free to leave a comment or email me, Brett at MrTopStep.com, and I'll be happy to help with anything I can.